where we review all the best sports clips from around the world. If this is your first time checking out a video, please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Without further ado, let's get to it. We're watching a clip of First Things First, talking about NBA prediction week, whether or not the Celtics, the Bucks, the Heat, they're among the favorites to win the East. I have a pretty big and bold prediction that I'm really excited to make. It doesn't sound like they're going to make it, so I really hope they do not, but I'm gonna, maybe one of them might, maybe. But I was trying to figure out whether or not I want to share my prediction first or let them go first. So we'll see if they set me up. Hopefully they don't spoil my prediction. But I'm really excited about it, and I think it's a dark horse. So let's jump right into it.
While posting a thoroughly mediocre 17-16 road record, lost to the Lakers but beat the Clippers. So who will be left standing for predictions week? We start with you, bro.
My pick in the Eastern Conference, the Boston Celtics. Now, I think what will intrigue people is who they beat in the conference
that's what I'm
finals.
interested in.
It's only right that they beat, as they march to the finals, the Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals. This will be the rubber match. They've faced each other the last 2 years in the conference finals, both 7 games. Each team's won one. I think Boston gets them this year. Now, I talked about the Celtics' flaws last week. I think sometimes they rely a little too much on the three. Defensively, they can do it all. We know they're top 2 in both offense and defense. They can block shots. They got good perimeter defenders. And I think offensively, I think they're going to look. They lost 2 games, which is rare last week, 2 in a row. I think they're going to look at some of their – I know Joe Mazzulla's going to keep shooting the 3, which is fine because they shoot it well. But when it's not there, all I'm saying to them is take some other stuff. Don't be afraid to do some other things. Get to the bucket, get to the foul line, post somebody up with the mismatch. And I think they will start to do some of that. So I like Boston. They've been the best team by a mile in the East this year, so I'm going with the Celtics.
Can I ask you one follow-up before I give mine? I understand that we do all these, and we know injuries can throw a wrench in them. But there are certain teams or players you're more concerned about injury-wise than others. Does the fact that the Celtics don't, they have a great starting five, not a lot of depth, certainly not a lot of big man depth, and they are getting a great season and a healthy season out of Kristaps.
Right.
Does that concern you at all that they are a team, even though we look at them as deep because of their starting five, that after him it's like Al Horford, and Horford is obviously holding on to the end part of his career? How much does that concern?
No, I don't think Milwaukee's incredibly deep.
Sure.
Miami, obviously, they can go deep. They
but
got
not as much of an injury risk as KP has had.
If he gets hurt, obviously that's a problem. He had. You're right. That's been his problem throughout his career.
Well, obviously, if any big player gets hurt,
and Milwaukee, look, Doc Rivers hasn't been past the second round.
LeBron gets hurt, the Lakers are nothing.
Sure. All right, or 2011, 2012. So.
Jamal Murray gets hurt.
I'm going with
Nuggets, nothing.
The 2 teams that have been the 2 best teams in the East since LeBron James left the conference, and that is the Milwaukee Bucks over the Miami Heat.
Wow.
And I understand that people like to kind of trick themselves into thinking that this little mini era of Celtics basketball has been, as good as it can be without a championship. But it hasn't been. The Heat's has been. But the Celtics have not, and we can show it to you, which is these 3 teams over the last 4 postseasons, this year, from the 2019-20 season to now. So the Heat have the most playoff wins. The Heat have the most playoff series. The Heat have the most conference finals appearances. The Heat have the most NBA finals appearances of anyone in the East. Now the Celtics have the second most, but Milwaukee's 1 title. The Celtics would trade all that other.
And this is why. I've acquired a couple of Bucks fans on this channel recently, and I'm not a Milwaukee hater. I'm really not. I was cheering for the Bucks to win. So happy when Giannis won the championship. I am not a Bucks hater at all. But look, you can see the Bucks, in the last 5 years, 1 conference final appearance, 1 NBA appearance, NBA finals appearance, 1 title. That's not good enough when you have Giannis Antetokounmpo. When Giannis is supposed to be essentially the best player in the NBA right now, or at the very least top 2, top 3, right? MVP, the man. That's not good enough. It's just not good enough. So when I call out Giannis and the Bucks, like, you don't have a good defense against it. You really don't, because if he's supposed to be this amazing, this great, this elite, you can't have that. LeBron James doesn't have that. Steph Curry didn't have that. Like, when they went on their run, it was conference finals, NBA finals, conference finals, NBA finals, conference finals, titles, MVP, MVP, MVP. It was endless. It just came out in a waterfall. All the greats, Kobe Bryant, Shaq, LeBron James, Steph Curry. It just goes on and on and on. And if you want Giannis to maybe be like a, Dirk or someone, right? A great player, done some magic. And and here's going to be the same thing with the Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets in the next 2-3 years, if we're going to talk about Jokic being as great as he is, then they better win some more titles. And at the very least, they better be getting to the championship, and they better be winning some of these conference finals. But one, for all those 3 categories, for conference finals appearances, NBA finals appearances, NBA titles, that's not good enough if you're a Milwaukee's Bucks fan. It's just not. It's really, really not. And, it's some of the blame has to go on Giannis. You can't just say, well, it's because of coaching, it's because of this, because of that. Some of it has to go on Giannis. No ifs, ands, or buts. And I'm not the type of person that says it's all on one player. Like when LeBron James didn't beat the Warriors, it's not like, well, LeBron James just needed to play better, right? I don't buy that. I don't agree with that. And that's what you see a lot of hot take people do on, ESPN and, and First Things First and things of that nature. I'm not like that. But in this specific instance, there are some blame to go around for Giannis. No question. Okay? No question.
Stuff for what Milwaukee's one title run. And so I think Milwaukee...
Sorry, the last other thing that I will say is that he's being all hard on the Celtics and acting like that they're so inferior to the Heat, and the Heat have just been so superior to the Celtics, and that's BS, especially because for the last 5 years, the Celtics are a really young team. Their stars are really young. Jimmy Butler's older, more mature. People that young do not win championships. Okay? People as young as Taylor and Brown do not rip off all these championships. Okay? Steph Curry didn't. LeBron James didn't. Like, all the stars do not do that unless they're already teamed up with another immediate Hall of Fame star like a Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe. Right? But, like, for the most part, you're not winning your championships until you are, like, 26, 27, 28, 29, like until you get older. That's the way basketball works. People think that these 22-year-olds are ripping off championships, and it doesn't happen. So 5 years ago, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown were freaking babies. Okay, still going through puberty, still looking in the mirror saying, can I grow a beard? I don't know. Can I? So this whole idea is just, ragging on them is absurd. These players, this team was largely drafted and built in the draft, which means it takes time to mature and grow. Jimmy Butler had already played so much basketball in multiple cities, had highs and lows and insane press conferences, and has been all around the world. Okay, he's been around the block. Not to mention, he's also with a coach who's already won multiple championships. Okay, with an amazing, management of the Miami Heat. So it's not a fair comparison. This isn't equal playing fields here. So it's not an indictment on the Celtics. It's just that it took them time to build and get to where they are. So to me, for the Celtics, it's more about what these next 5 years look like. I don't care about the last 5 years for the Celtics. I really don't. It's what do these next 5 years look like for the Celtics. That is what ultimately matters, okay? Miami was able to make do because of the bubble, okay? And they somehow managed to get by. Also last year as well, there were some key injuries that were going around. Miami has been able to take advantage of multiple injured players, whether it be with Embiid. And so this whole idea that Miami Heat has just been this great team, and that's why, they're going to all these conference final appearances. No, they've been able to get by on veterans and great coaching. And just a highly functioning run team. And so that's all credit to them, but let's not act like that they've just been, getting by on spit and vinegar here, because it's just not true.
It is right now being a victim of expectations. In that because the day that they traded, one of the reasons we are doing predictions a week right now, to peel back as well, to say the fourth wall Is that what
You don't peel it back.
What do you do?
You kind of pull back the
curtain,
break the fourth
break
wall.
the fourth wall. I knew I was going to get it wrong.
Well, see how
Thank
we have
you.
3 walls?
Yeah, exactly.
The fourth wall is the camera.
Okay, got it. Thank you,
look in
buddy.
the camera and be like, hey.
Listen,
know the
that's what they
fourth wall.
taught
This
you
guy
in
doesn't
TV
know what he's
school.
talking. Like,
We didn't do that in radio school.
Sorry.
But one of the reasons we're doing this now is because right after the Bucks traded for Dame, we were like, we can't do a picks thing if we're all going to pick Milwaukee.
We're Dame crazy.
And so we were. And so I think because those were the expectations, and then even though they had a good record, they struggled some. They fired their coach. It seemed weird. Giannis is angry about a game ball. We've lost the fact that Giannis is at worst the second best player in basketball and maybe having the best year of his career. Dame seems to be a little more comfortable post-Doc, and there's a lot of good things. And the Heat, I just like the Heat in a series against Boston.
You love the Heat.
I just do like the Heat in a series.
Can I give you mine, Brew? So I'll also take the Celtics because I love point differential, and they've got the 5th highest point differential of all time.
Yeah.
So that makes you think, all right. Then no one's picking the Sixers.
Exactly.
Embiid was on a total tear. He could come back as early as the end of this month. I like Nick Nurse a lot. I like Kyle Lowry and Buddy Hield, little mid-season
This is what I've been waiting for.
I like Maxey. I like the idea of the reigning MVP getting over the hump to the point where I might take the Celtics over the Sixers with a huge asterisk, reserving the right to flip it. No. I'm not going to take the Heat, or I'm not going to take the Knicks, or I'm not going to take the Cavs, but I might pick Sixers over Celtics.
Wilds coming in big. You stole it. You spoiled it from me, but I will allow it because I really like Wilds. And he's not known for his opinions. He's more of the host. He's, a step up from the generic woman host that they have on all these sports shows. The Sixers. I've been saying this the moment Embiid went down, when I did the math, when I saw about the injury. Embiid does not choke in the playoffs, okay? It was a perfect storm over the years of him of being legitimately injured. Real bona fide injuries. Tears to his meniscus, fracturing his face, okay, his skull. I don't know what you guys understand. For those of you who have not had broken bones or torn meniscus, me right here had multiple times. It's brutal. This idea that you could just go play basketball and be okay, or grin it and bear it, is laughable, comical, absurd. Combine that with the fact that he has a really tough body to last a full season. The dude is a monster. I've met him close and personal. You're just like, oh my God. I mean, it's just an absolute freak. It's an absolute freak. When he goes up and down the court, you like feel it shake. And when you see him, hit the ground, you're like, oh my God. I mean, you vibrate to your core. It's insane. So the guy is just, he won both the genetic lottery and then also, not so much because he's not light on his feet. So he will always have a tough time going the distance in a season. And this is why LeBron James was able to win a championship in the bubble, because at this point in his career, he struggles to go the distance. Same thing with AD, but they had all this extra rest. And that is what Embiid has right now. For the first time, if Embiid is able to come back and be fully recovered, my whole prediction right now is only based on whether or not Embiid comes back and is fully recovered and stays healthy throughout the playoffs. If he does, and he's fully healthy from the start of the playoffs and then maintains that, Philadelphia Sixers will win. They're going to go to the NBA Finals because for the first time, we are going to get a rested Joel Embiid, a fully healthy Joel Embiid who's ready to just F things up, okay? He is just ready to be a monster. That is who Embiid is. Putting up 70 points. I mean, the dude is a dude. He is a monster. If you don't like Embiid, I really don't know what to say to you. You're not looking closely, or you're just being a hater, because Embiid is a monster and he's so exciting, and the league is better. If you're a fan of basketball, you should be rooting for like a Denver Nuggets versus the 76ers championship, because to me, in my mind, that's like one of the only things that can save the NBA right now, is having this big back and forth, let's go. A close second would be Denver Nuggets versus maybe Giannis in the championship, right? Because then you get Jokic versus Giannis, which will be, pretty fun and exciting. But Giannis can't handle Jokic. He just can't. I mean, like, Jokic, I trust Jokic in that situation. Embiid versus Jokic, people will be salivating. Because for those of you who don't know, there's a big war between them. Even though Jokic and Embiid like each other. They actually are not enemies. They like each other. They totally respect each other 100%. the fan bases seem to go, the Denver Nuggets fans and the Philadelphia 76ers fans go back and forth about it. I'm a Sixers fan, but I have no issues with Jokic. I think Jokic is great. I don't love his personality. I don't love the whole, I don't care about things. That's not my brand personally. I like people who truly care and stuff like that. That's why I love the Jason Kelce's of the world. But that's what I'm rooting for, because that will be box office. And, seeing like Giannis and Embiid in the conference finals, exciting, so we could have some really exciting playoff matches that will get a lot of people involved, a lot of people taking sides. That's what will also be exciting, because you'll have people take sides in that type of championship where it's like, well, who's better, Embiid or Jokic, and it'll just be exciting. And so I think if Embiid is able to come back fully healthy, which it sounds like he will be, he'll be fully rested, he'll be able to play into game shape. And as long as Tyrese Maxey's been out, I think because of a concussion. I don't know if it's ever been considered something else, but originally that's at least what it was. The Sixers have made some moves. They have some dudes, they have some players, they have the coach tied all together. They absolutely can do it. I'm happy to see Wild say that. He is speaking some sense to a room full of nonsense, and I can appreciate that. So I'm excited. The playoffs can't come soon enough. The more I look at this season, the more I acknowledge that the regular season has been kind of like, meh, who cares? But the playoffs, we have some teams, right? The Celtics, the Bucks, the Sixers, those are exciting teams. Then you have the Nuggets, you have the Minnesota Timberwolves, OKC, maybe even the Warriors and the Lakers. I'm a big Warriors fan as well. It'll be fun to maybe see the Lakers and, LeBron and Steph go at it again. But, at this point, I'm ready to kind of move on. At the end of the day, I would like to see Steph win another championship, because I think that also makes conversation more interesting, because then it's like, ooh, well, Steph has 5 and LeBron only has 4. What does that mean? Like, I love those types of conversations. It just is fun content to discuss and, get in fights and debates about. That's like more the reason why I would want that to happen to anything. But to remove myself from that and just look at it from a strictly like, well, what's entertaining right now? What's entertaining is new blood, is seeing Jokic go against Joel Embiid, seeing maybe the Timberwolves, see like what can Cat and Ant do against Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis Antetokounmpo, right? Seeing the Miami Heat there with like Jimmy Butler, I don't know. That's not really that exciting to me, quite honestly. Or watching, who was that NBA Finals last season really that good? It was not. You never felt that the Heat had any type of chance. The Nuggets had that in the bag. Wasn't that exciting? Not at all. Again, if you're a Nuggets fan, then you loved it, obviously. But come on, let's be serious here. So I'm really, really excited. I hope the way the seeding matches up, we don't get like any of these cheap victories or any of these things where it's like, man, this was such an upset, and now the next, round is like easy, like, oh my God, and so hopefully everything just stays competitive and fun, and I'm excited to talk about it. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. Who do you think's going to win the East? Is it the Celtics, the Bucks, the Heat, Cavaliers? Definitely not the Cavaliers. The Sixers? Let me know in the comments below. Let's get into some discussions. Let's get into some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. I read every single comment, so let me hear it. And please don't forget to subscribe. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.